Right guys, welcome to the first Q&A of 2021. Let's get into the questions. So if I'm looking on the side, it's because I have my laptop with the questions, and the first one is from Dejvid. When to leave job and go full-time trading? So the first question I would like to ask is, why do you actually want to go full-time trading? Why do you want to leave your job? Because it's going to be so different for each and every person. I think full-time trading has really been put on a pedestal and glamorized because I kid you not that trading full-time isn't for everyone. Like, are you going to be quitting your job so that you can create more time so then you can go to learn how to trade? Because I personally then would say that that's not the best idea. You can create your own time. No matter how busy you are, it's all just about prioritizing. However, if you're now making similar or making more from your trading, and obviously having other things in mind, such as a buffer, and you don't like your job, you find it draining, then yeah, for sure, why not? But yeah, definitely ask yourself those good questions, because it's gonna, again, be different, and we're all coming from different lifelines, so I can't really give a concrete answer. Another question to ask yourself is actually, what would you do if you're trading full-time? What would a day in your life be, a week in your life be, if you're trading full-time? And this actually leads onto an action step for you guys who are serious about actually quitting your job, going full-time trading, is to actually book a day off or even a week off of work and go live that plan that you set out for yourself. And as it's famously put around in the motivational space, is that you have to be before you do before you have. So you have to become it. Let's say you're ready to go full-time, there's certain things you need to set in place, such as your buffer. This is X amount of months of expenses, at least, saved up or as your buffer. So that's sometimes 6 months. I'd say nothing less than 6 months. It really depends on you, on your lifestyle, your spending habits, on where you are in the world. So definitely do not leave your job without a buffer. Now, I actually wanted to talk about my personal experience when I went to transition from quitting my full-time job and then going into full-time trading. Now, the key thing here is self-awareness and understanding how I am as a person. And again, that's the thing about asking yourself why, like, what would you actually do if you became like a full-time trader? Because I do not just imagine myself just trading, especially with how I trade, looking on the 1 hour charts. I can do other things and check my phone. I understand if you're a scalper, you kind of need to, sit down at your desk looking at the charts because things are moving every minute. For me, things move every hour. So with me, luckily I have YouTube, and then I have other passion projects and other business ideas that I'm trying to grow. So I was doing that while I was doing my full-time work, so that I knew that by the time that I felt ready to actually quit my job, I have these things to do on top of trading and on top of like working on myself. So I knew that I wouldn't go bored, I wouldn't go crazy, waking up at God knows what time and then just being like, oh, I'm gonna check the charts, go to the gym, and then what? I know I've shared this story a lot, but I did try the full-time trading without doing anything else really. And that made me go downhill even more. That made my trading go downhill even more. Because the key thing is you got to have a life outside of trading as well. And you have to find what fulfills you and what actually excites you as well. Unless obviously trading is your absolute passion, then that's cool. Next question's from Adam Nilsson. Hey Hannah, do you use inside bars to more easily spot a correction or a consolidation? So I personally use inside bars as a level or a zone of interest for price to actually retest off of, and I'll take an entry there as long as we have momentum. Bear in mind, all inside bars are essentially a consolidation, a corrective period on a lower time frame to what you're looking at. So I'm going to put it up on the screen, an example, and sort of an example of how I would trade it, but I will only ever consider an inside bar with momentum. So jumping on the charts, and wanted to show you guys an example of an inside bar. So basically, this is the indicator that I use that basically just highlights the inside bar. Definitely just go check it out. I know a lot of people ask, why do I have orange candles? And guys, I literally tell this to you guys all the time. And yeah, it's basically that indicator. So here we have an inside bar. This is a trade that I actually took. And we can see that I took the trade in this area here. Let me just zoom in for you guys. So you can see that we have been trending, we have been pushing up. So we are going up in this direction. What basically happened is we had a push up, inside bar, push up, and then we came back down to that level and we went. So basically just taking an entry like that on the inside bar. And if you're looking on the lower time frames, what that basically looks like is So that's the higher time frame. Let's say that's 1 hour. Then on the smaller time frames, what could be happening is something like this. So if you're trading on 5 minute, 15 minute, whatever it may be, you know, you might see this as a flag, or you might see this as an opportunity to get in, as we do have this push up, and then there's just a little pause in the market for maybe on those who are on the lower time frames, seeing this sort of play out, and then this basically just springs up to the upside, and then I'll basically get in on the retest. So there's different ways you trade inside bars. That's how I personally do it, as mostly continuations. There are pivot points. I find them on the higher time frame. For example, you have this inside bar level here that has pretty much respected it and taps it. 4 hours, I would say, is more so for pivot areas. So we have another question. What do you do for missed trades? This is a good one because I think it's a great process to add to your arsenal, that you should ASR your missed trades. And for me, I only kind of have 3 reasons why I would miss a trade. It's either I hesitated, I didn't forecast it, or I was asleep, or like I just wasn't at the charts. What I would do sometimes is I would go back test that week that we just had. If let's say it's now Sunday, I'll go back test Monday to Friday, and I'll see if there's actually any trades that I missed. Why did I miss it? Was I asleep, or did I hesitate? Did I look at a trade and then I hesitated, didn't take it? And then I'll go for there. And obviously ask myself good questions. If you guys have not seen the previous video on 3 sort of questions that have really elevated my trading analysis, definitely go check that out. It'll be on the top right somewhere. But I would always ASR it. I would always journal it and learn from it. And I'm glad you asked that question, because I feel like there could be a lot of people who are like, oh, missed a trade, oh well, on to the next one. But there's so much value, there's so much power in actually diving into it. So final question is from Sugex Oxford. Have you ever in your trading career jumping from strategy to have you ever jumped from strategy to strategy? If yes, when is it you come to realize that you need to stick to one strategy to be profitable? From your video, you show high discipline, believe in your strategy even though you very rarely make a killing. So have I ever experienced jumping from strategy to strategy? No, I have not. I have been in one community for about 2 years, 2 and a bit years, and then I was in another community for about, I want to say 4 or 5 months. And the thing is that when I was going from like the first strategy to the second strategy, they were very close in affinity because they were both price action, market structure, that sort of thing. However, strategy number 2 was a little bit more refined. Now, if you're jumping from strategy to strategy, such as going from support resistance to indicators to price action to market structure patterns to institutional trading, that's when it gets a little bit overwhelming, and if you're doing that in a short period of time. However, you know, if that works for you, then that works for you. I think there is a big stigma on jumping strategies and things like that not being always good, but I've found that, you know, some people, it actually works out for them and they're getting the bits that they need from each place. And I think if that person can do that, then that's awesome. But I do understand that the majority of people who are getting shiny ball syndrome, jumping from different strategies in a short amount of time and not really having that level of awareness, and that's when they get confused, and that's when I don't recommend doing that. Definitely, if you are starting out with a new strategy or testing something, definitely stick with it for a bit. You know, a bit is not like 1 week and being like, oh, this is a scam, this is not working. I'd say definitely give it a good month or 2, definitely backtest it, and take what you need, take out what you don't need, and hopefully that helps. As for your last bit, where it says, from your videos you show high discipline and believe in your strategy even though you very rarely make a killing. There's one thing that I actually want to touch on later in like the videos or whatever, is actually like a bit on sustainability and how sometimes like you don't always have to make so much. You don't always have to be that, you know, that greed mentality to extract as much as you can or to have really high risk to reward ratios. So it's definitely context, it's definitely mindset, and you know where we are in our journey. However, you know, appreciate your opinion, and I thought that was pretty funny. So guys, that pretty much wraps up the first Q&A of 2021. If you like this video, I have a playlist of all my other Q&As from 2020 and before that. But thank you guys for watching. If you made it to the end of this video, smash the like button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye. I've been going out of my head, I've been waiting
for someone to give me help. All I'm asking for is just some space and some time, then I'll be alright. I've been having thoughts in my mind.